They tell you that confidence comes from speaking up, being loud, owning the room. But have you ever noticed? The most powerful person in the room is usually the quietest. They are not scrambling for attention. They are not proving anything to anyone. They are simply there, watching, calculating, absorbing everything while everyone else performs. And by the time you realize what just happened, they have already won. See? The world has sold you a lie. They made you believe that power is visible, that strength is loud, that respect comes from being seen. But real power operates in silence. It moves in shadows. It wins before the game even starts. And while everyone else is busy announcing their next move, the truly powerful have already made 10 moves you did not even notice. This is not about being passive. This is not about being weak or invisible. This is about understanding something most people never will. The moment you stop performing, you start dominating. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you become untouchable. And the moment you learn to move in silence, you become the most dangerous person in any room. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." That is the difference. Weak people show everything. Strong people reveal nothing. And in the next 20 minutes, you are about to learn the 10 silent power moves that separate those who get played from those who control the game. If this resonates with you, drop this in the comments right now. I move in silence. Let us begin. Here is what weak people do. Someone disrespects them, and within seconds they explode. Someone challenges them, and immediately they are in defense mode. Someone baits them, and they take it every single time. They think speed equals strength. They think instant reaction equals power. But all they are doing is handing over control. Because when you react immediately, you are not thinking. You are responding on autopilot. You are emotional, predictable, and completely readable. And in that moment, whoever triggered you is now in control. They set the trap. You walked right into it. And now they know exactly how to play you every single time. But strong people, they pause. They absorb the hit. They let the silence sit heavy in the air while everyone waits for their response. And in that pause, they are not frozen. They are calculating. They are reading the room. They are deciding whether this even deserves their energy. That pause is not weakness. That pause is dominance. See, timing is everything. A response delivered too early loses its weight. But a response delivered at the perfect moment, that cuts deeper than any emotional outburst ever could. Strong people understand this. They know that the person who controls their emotions controls the outcome. So they wait, they watch, and when they finally move, it is surgical, calculated, and devastating. Weak people are controlled by their emotions. Strong people control the moment, and that is the first separation. Weak people treat their life like an open book. They tell everyone their plans, their struggles, their victories, their failures. They post every moment, every thought, every feeling. They think transparency equals authenticity. They think sharing equals connection. But what they do not realize is this. Every time they share, they give someone ammunition. Your story is valuable. Your pain, your goals, your fears, those are not conversation starters. Those are strategic intel. And the moment you hand that information to someone who has not earned it, you give them the ability to predict you, manipulate you, or even destroy you. They know your triggers. They know your weaknesses. They know exactly where to press to make you break. But strong people, they guard their story like it is classified. They are selective. They are intentional. They do not owe anyone an explanation for who they are or where they have been. They share only what benefits them and reveal only what is necessary. Everything else stays locked behind walls most people will never get past. And here's a paradox. The less you share, the more people respect you. The more mystery you carry, the more power you hold. Because people fear what they cannot fully understand. They respect what they cannot easily access. And they remember the person who made them work to earn even a piece of their trust. So stop treating your life like a public presentation. Stop giving away your blueprints. Your story is your armor. Protect it, because weak people overshare and wonder why they keep getting burned. Strong people stay silent and watch everyone else expose themselves. Weak people need the world to tell them they are enough. They need likes, comments, applause, approval. They make decisions based on what others will think. They change their path because someone doubted them. They need external proof that they are valuable. And because of that, they are constantly performing, constantly seeking, constantly starving for a validation that never truly fills them. But strong people, they stopped asking for permission a long time ago. They do not need anyone to co-sign their vision. They do not need applause to know they're on the right path. They validate themselves. They define their own worth. And because of that, they are free. Free from the opinions of people who do not matter. Free from the pressure to perform. Free to move in whatever direction serves them, regardless of who agrees. See, the moment you need validation, you hand over your power, because now your confidence is in someone else's hands. Your decisions are filtered through someone else's judgment, and your entire sense of self is dependent on the approval of people who probably are not even paying attention. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." Translation? You must be both. You must be strong enough to stand alone and smart enough to move without needing the crowd to understand. That is freedom. That is power. Weak people bend the crowd. Strong people build in isolation and let the results speak. And when the results show up, the same people who doubted you will pretend they believed in you all along. But by then, their opinion will not matter, because you already validated yourself. Weak people cannot let anything go. Someone says something wrong, they have to correct it. Someone disrespects them, they have to respond. Someone misunderstands them, they have to explain until that person gets it. They think winning the argument equals winning in life. But all they are doing is draining their energy on people who were never listening in the first place. Here is the truth. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every disrespect deserves a response. And not every person deserves access to your energy. Weak people argue because they need to be right. Strong people walk away because they would rather be at peace. And walking away is not surrender. Walking away is strategy. It says, "You are not worth my time. You are not worth my energy. You do not have the clearance to affect my mental state." That is power. That is control. Because while they're still arguing with ghosts, you have already moved on to something that actually matters. Strong people understand something crucial. Your energy is currency. Every argument you engage in is a transaction. And if that transaction does not give you growth, peace, or progress, then it is a waste. So they stop spending energy on worthless debates. They stop defending themselves to people who already made up their minds. They just walk away. And that silence hits harder than 1,000 words ever could. So ask yourself, are you arguing to win or to protect your peace? Because weak people need the last word. Strong people need their sanity. And that is a separation most people never understand until it is too late. Weak people cannot keep a secret, especially about themselves. They are about to start a business. Everyone knows. They are working on a goal. It is all over social media. They have a plan. They have already told 10 people who did not even ask. They think announcing their plans creates accountability. But what it really creates is sabotage. Because the moment you announce what you are building, you open yourself up to doubt, jealousy, and interference. People will question your vision. They will plant seeds of fear. They will subtly discourage you, not because they are evil, but because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. And even if they mean well, their doubts become noise in your head, noise that slows you down. But strong people, they move in silence. They build in the dark. They work while everyone else is asleep. And they only reveal the results when the work is done. No previews, no updates, no explanations, just execution. And by the time people realize what just happened, it is already too late to stop it. There is a reason the most successful people operate this way. They understand that silence protects progress. It removes distractions. It eliminates interference, and it creates an element of surprise that weak people will never have because they already told everyone what they were doing. Machiavelli said, "Before all else, be armed." And in the modern world, your silence is your greatest weapon. It keeps your enemies guessing. It keeps your competition off balance. And it keeps your vision pure, untainted by the opinions of people who are not even in the arena. So stop announcing. Stop updating. Stop seeking early applause for unfinished work. Just build. Just move. And let your results be the announcement. Because weak people talk about what they're going to do. Strong people show up with what they already did. Weak people hold grudges. Someone betrays them, and they carry that weight for years. Someone disrespects them, and they replay it over and over in their head. They are stuck in the past, reliving pain, feeding anger, letting bitterness consume their energy. They think holding a grudge is strength, but all it does is keep them chained to people who already moved on. But strong people, they do not hold grudges. They do something far more dangerous. They remember. They take notes. They adjust. Someone shows you who they are. You do not hate them. You just change how you move around them. You do not argue. You do not explode. You just quietly shift your strategy, your distance, your trust level. And you never forget. See, grudges are emotional. Memory is tactical. A grudge weighs you down. Memory sharpens you. A grudge keeps you reactive. Memory makes you calculated. And while weak people are still bitter about something that happened 5 years ago, strong people have already adapted, evolved, and positioned themselves 3 steps ahead. This is not about being cold. This is about being smart. You do not waste energy hating people. You just stop giving them access. You do not burn bridges loudly. You just stop crossing them. And if they ever wonder why the dynamic changed, you do not owe them an explanation. You just let the distance speak for itself. Machiavelli warned, men ought either to be well treated or crushed because they can avenge themselves of lighter injuries, but of more serious ones they cannot. Translation, either forgive fully or cut completely, but never sit in the middle, holding on to bitterness. That is where weak people live. Strong people either release or remove, no in between. So stop holding grudges. Start holding information. Remember who showed up. Remember who disappeared. Remember who lied, and adjust accordingly. Because weak people stay stuck in anger. Strong people move in strategy. And that is the difference between suffering and sovereignty. Weak people feel the need to explain everything. Why they made that decision. Why they are acting this way. Why they did not respond. Why they changed. They think explanation equals clarity. They think justifying their actions proves they are right. But all it does is weaken their position. Because the more you explain, the more you reveal. And the more you reveal, the easier you are to challenge. Here's the reality. You do not owe anyone an explanation for how you move. Not for your boundaries. Not for your decisions. Not for your silence. Not for your distance. If someone does not understand you, that is not your problem to fix. And if they demand an explanation, that is usually a sign they're looking for something to use against you later. Strong people understand this. They let their actions explain. They let their results speak. They let their silence carry the weight. And if someone does not like it, that is not their concern. Because they are not here to be understood by everyone. They are here to protect their peace, execute their vision, and move without interference. And here is what happens when you stop explaining. People stop questioning. They might not understand, but they will respect the boundary. They might not agree, but they will recognize the power. Because silence is not weakness. Silence is sovereignty. It says, I do not need your approval. I do not need your understanding. I am moving regardless. Machiavelli said, never attempt to win by force what could be won by deception. And sometimes the greatest deception is simply refusing to show your cards. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them create their own stories about why you move the way you do. Meanwhile, you stay focused, unbothered, and completely in control. So stop over-explaining yourself. Stop defending your choices to people who were never going to support them anyway. Let your silence be the answer. Let your actions be the proof. Because weak people explain until they are exhausted. Strong people move until the results explain everything. Weak people are terrified of being alone. They surround themselves with anyone just to avoid the silence. They stay in toxic relationships because being lonely feels worse. They fill their time with distractions, noise, people who do not add value, anything to avoid sitting with themselves. They think connection equals strength, but what they are really doing is running from the one person they need to face, themselves. But strong people, they do not fear solitude. They master it. They understand that being alone is not the same as being lonely. Solitude is where you sharpen your mind. It is where you rebuild your focus. It is where you separate what you want from what others told you to want. And it is where you become so solid in who you are that no amount of external chaos can shake you. See, most people cannot handle silence. Silence forces you to confront your thoughts, your fears, your unfinished business. It strips away the distractions and leaves you face to face with reality. And weak people would rather avoid that at all costs. So they stay busy. They stay surrounded. They stay distracted, but they never actually grow. Strong people do the opposite. They seek solitude intentionally. They create space to think without influence. They disconnect to reconnect with themselves. And in that silence, they find clarity that crowds could never give them. They make decisions that are truly theirs. They build visions that are not contaminated by other people's limitations. And they become unshakable. Machiavelli understood isolation as strategy. He said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. And if you are surrounded by people who drain you, distract you, or dull your edge, that says everything." Strong people would rather be alone than in bad company, because they understand that solitude is not punishment. It is preparation. So stop fearing loneliness. Start using solitude. Disconnect from the noise. Sit with yourself. Face your thoughts. Rebuild in silence. Because weak people avoid being alone and wonder why they feel empty. Strong people embrace solitude and become complete. And that is a power most people will never access because they are too afraid to be still. So here's what it all comes down to. The separation between weak and strong is not about money, status, or who talks the loudest. It is about control. Control over your emotions. Control over your energy. Control over who gets access to you and what you allow to affect you. Weak people give that control away every single day without even realizing it. Strong people guard it like their life depends on it, because it does. Every time you react without thinking, you lose. Every time you overshare with the wrong people, you lose. Every time you seek validation from those who do not matter, you lose. Every time you explain yourself to people who are never going to understand, you lose. And every single one of those losses adds up until you are living a life controlled by everyone except you. But the moment you take that power back, everything changes. You stop performing and start dominating. You stop reacting and start responding with precision. You stop seeking and start becoming. And the people who used to control you with their opinions, their doubts, their drama, they lose all access. Not because you are cold, but because you finally understand your value. Machiavelli spent his entire life studying power. And one thing he made clear over and over is this: power is not given. It is taken. It is built in silence. It is protected by boundaries. And it is maintained by people who refuse to operate like everyone else. The weak follow the crowd. The strong create their own path. And they do it without asking for permission. So if you made it this far, you are not here by accident. You are here because something inside you knows you are capable of more. You are tired of being reactive. You are tired of being drained. You are tired of giving your power away to people who do not deserve it. And you are ready to move differently. From this moment forward, you do not owe anyone an explanation. You do not need anyone to validate your decisions. You do not have to prove yourself to people who were never paying attention. You just move. You build. You protect your peace. You master your solitude. And you become so dangerous in your silence that people feel your presence even when you're not in the room. This is not about being cold. This is about being untouchable. This is not about isolation. This is about intention. And this is not about becoming someone else. This is about becoming the strongest version of yourself. The version that does not break under pressure. The version that does not fold when challenged. The version that moves like water, adapts like air, and strikes like lightning when the moment is right. Subscribe to this channel right now if you're ready to operate on a different level. Hit the like button so others can find this message. And drop one word in the comments that represents who you are becoming. Not who you were, who you are becoming. Because weak people stay the same and wonder why life does not change. Strong people evolve in silence and let the world catch up. And you are about to become the one they never saw coming. The one they underestimated. The one who moved in silence and arrived in power. That is who you are. Now go prove it.